Hello everyone. Today we have the last of the recordings associated with the topics for our model SMART. This video is about the system for system methodologies. In a sense, we've been covering that idea for a number of sessions. You are familiar already with the illustration I have right there, and but also you are familiar with this concept. So the system of system methodology is relatively simple. It says, based on the type or the form of problem that you got, then you need to have the most adequate strategy. And for that purpose, Professor Mike Jackson has created this idea of the system of system methodologies. So according to him, you might end up facing a problem associated with these different levels of or two dimensions associated with complexity. The first one is associated with the interaction among participants. We've been discussing those already several times, and also about the complexity of the system itself and its interaction with the environment. Over the course of the model, I've been covering all these different strategies, ideas, how you can handle, how you can manage a problem you have according to these different type of problems you can face. We start by presenting the system dynamics. Eventually, we move to the viable system model, the system assumptions for phasing and testing, interactive planning, the subsystem methodology, and critical system heuristics. I've been asking you to do some work while using these different strategies. Probably, as this is not ideal, a better way to show you how this works is to use this presentation. Of course, this is another version of the system of system methodologies developed by Professor Jackson, but it explains probably better what are those type of problems you can face, although please keep in mind the dimension associated with the complexity of the system. It has a three dimensions instead of the two that you have on this illustration. But that explains probably better and plays better those different strategies. So at the end of the day, guys, what I want you is to remember a few things. This module is about systems thinking. And being a system thinker is relatively simple in terms of the definition. It is not as easy because it involves a way to understand, a way to work, and a way to decide that tends to be against our nature. We are very good at reacting quickly and making quick decisions, at deciding as soon as you are faced with a problem. But most of the time, the problems you face require careful thinking, a better evaluation, to think and look at a problem from different perspectives. So system thinking involves or requires to have a wider vision. And I really like this idea that having a wider vision helps to increase our understanding of a problem. And I highlight two elements. Having a wider vision means not only taking the time to set yourself aside, to detach yourself from the problem in order to understand all other elements that you don't see at face value, but also by asking other people what their understanding is of the problem they face. As human beings, it is clear we are not always as happy to be faced with dilemmas, with problems, or even worse, to be with people who have a different understanding of a problem compared to what we got. But believe me, by facing people with different ideas, with different ways to understand and to interpret a problem, the best you can get is to understand from a different perspective. It might be the case that you don't change your understanding, you don't change what you want, you don't change your preferences, your ideas, your concepts, your values, but at least you understand how other people work and what are the bases they have in order to proceed the way they are doing. The second element is looking, seeing from a different perspective is critical if you want to have such a wider understanding. As other people, particularly people who don't see the same way as you do, what their take, what their vision is of the problem they are facing. Remember, I start the model by saying, as a decision maker, you deal with problems. And the most common problem you'll face is that people make decisions. They work based on partial views, on their partial understanding of a problem, as we do as well. According to big philosophers, it is not easy or as easy for each one of us, due to cognitive restrictions, to understand every single aspect of a problem that we face. More often associated with the fact that we have certain values, experiences, way to understand things, different recollection of what happened before. We have different values. And all those experiences, values, interests, recollections help us to determine the way we see and interpret the world. Therefore, it will be naive to think that we can get every single element and aspect of a problem we face. That's why we need to go through a process of increased understanding to learn. And the best way to learn is by asking others how they understand, how they view a particular problem. Remember, as a decision maker, because all of you guys, all of you will be working in context where you will be making decisions. And decision making and decision makers are faced, when they deal with people, with two main aspects of the human trait. And that is that people make decisions based on perceptions and the expectations that they have. Therefore, to understand what those perceptions and expectations are, help you in order to make efficient decisions, good decisions, quality decisions. Final two elements. Every time you have the opportunity to work with people or to work with a system, and remember, a system could be anything from an organization to a corporation to a mechanical system, look for what we call the emergent properties. Those are properties which are not part or are not associated with one of the elements, but are the product of the interaction among the system's parts. So make sure those emergent properties appear. What can be the product of the interaction of two people? New ideas, better ideas, new projects, learning. All those are emergent properties. Even love. You get two people together, then those people learns to appreciate each other. Even love is an emergent property. And make sure all those emergent properties appear. So every time you are in charge of making decisions, of analyzing a problem, identify what those emerging properties are and make sure they appear, because more often than not they require intervention in order to make sure those are the right emerging properties. We can have negative emerging properties. You can get two people together and they can hate each other. So hate is an emerging property. So make sure you have the right emerging properties. And the last element, avoid undesirable consequences. For that purpose, this idea of having a system that you can use, that you can replicate, and then you can play with before you make decisions with the real system are always important. So this brings a model to the end. Remember, you are faced with two assignments. Some of you have been contacting me because you still have some questions about the assignments. My suggestion is, please do have a look at the associated video, whose link is available on Canvas, and make sure you upload your assignments on Canvas. Your assignments have to be uploaded on Canvas. As you are aware, the university has granted an extension for the deadline for those two assignments. The new deadline is May the 18th. So my suggestion is try to upload your answers well in advance. So this is the end of our module. I have to say it's quite unfortunate that your experience at the university has come to a close this way. For most of you, this is your final year. You'll be graduating from the university. I'm pretty sure you'll be doing fine in your assignments. But please, do know that you are part of the University of Hull. And here at Hull, we all will be remembering you. So once we are over with this health issue that we're facing, please do come to the university. Come and visit if you can, or just send us an email. Some of you have gone back to your countries of origin, the parts of the world you came from. Please stay in touch. As alumni to the University of Hull, we will be proud of what you do. So I have to bring this to a close by thanking you for all your hard work, your patience. I understand it is not easy to learn by looking at videos, particularly these long videos. But please keep in mind this idea of system thinking, the importance of looking at things from a different perspective. You will always gain while trying to understand why and what is that others understand. Thank you very much, guys, and I really hope you are enjoying your experience. And thanks again.